Holy smokes, it's been a while since I've done a video. My beard has grown much longer since the last time I did one. So, today I'm doing one. It is mid-February 2025. This might be the first fishing video of 2025. I'm not sure, I'm gonna have to look back. I think it is. Anyhow, in mopping as usual, gonna go down and fish the lower Deschutes. Got one of my co-pilots, got Callie with me. She's ready to go get some river time. She's got her little coat on. So today I'm gonna do some deep kind of winter fishing. Winter fishing is some of the best fishing on the lower D for trout. It's kind of mopping's dirty secret. It's very fun, and you don't have to get up early. So you can sleep in, go out midday at the heat of the day, and go down and catch some trout. I had a friend who went out yesterday and just slammed them. So I don't know where he ended up, but it was like 15 or 20. So that's a good day. But typically on the Deschutes, it's kind of a really hot day one day, the next day is kind of a little bit of a challenging day. So I really might be in for it today. We'll find out within the next couple hours whether or not it's going to be a good, productive, awesome day, or if it's going to be a challenge. Either way is going to be good. Can't argue with being on the river really at any time. Got all geared up. I'm looking pretty snazzy this year. End of 2024, I got some new Corker boots, the River Ops BOA boots. I highly recommend them. They're awesome. I know early on Corkers got a bad reputation of the soles falling off, but I've had zero issue with that with my boots, and I get into some pretty mucky crap sometimes. But love them so far. The BOA, I'll never own a pair of wading boots that aren't BOAs. It's awesome for getting there. You can get them on and off in half the time as it would be to a pair of laced boots. They're super awesome. And I picked up a new set of waders end of 2024. They're from a company that's not as known compared to like Sims or Panagonia. They're called Aquaz or Aquaz. I think it's Aquaz. A-Q-U-A-Z. They're, I would say, a mid to high end wader, but you're not paying that label price that you're paying for Sims or a Panagonia. You know, their top tier waders is what I bought. They're the zip ups. They're about, I think retail, I think they're $450 or $550, right in that realm anyways. And they're every bit have the quality of the $1,000 Sims waders, in my opinion. So they're well worth the money. Great bang for the buck. You know, if you want to go for it, drop $1,000 on waders. You know, I feel kind of crazy spending as much as I did on these, but I am a dealer for them. If everybody looks them up online, decides they want a set, I can order them in for you and have them within a week or so, which is pretty cool. But I definitely like them. This is probably the, I don't know, 10th time I've worn them, and I'm pretty pleased with them so far. And now here we go, down the access road. It's still pretty snowy. You know, it should all melt pretty much today though, so I'm trying to get out today before the river blows out. Haven't been out for a while, so I'm gonna be a little rusty. It's been some time. I've been kind of preoccupied at the store, and I've been doing a lot with my FPV drones. That's kind of my other thing that I'm pretty heavily into. Have been for, I can say, decades now because I'm getting old, but I've been into the FPV drone stuff for decades. And so I've been doing a lot of building and tinkering, getting through the winter. Winter and mopping can be pretty boring sometimes, especially if the river's blown out. You don't have much to do. So I've been doing a lot of that. Well, all right, just made her down onto the road. I'm gonna put up the river here and try to find a nice spot to catch some trout. Well, I got one on the board so far. Didn't get it on camera. I'm just fishing the eddy, a big eddy above Nina. I'll give you a shot. So with the float rod and the center pin rod, I'm just kind of casting out in this current, letting it take it down that seam, and then letting the eddy bring it back and around to me. It's a pretty effective way to fish eddies with the center pin rod. And then just keeping an eye on the float. And it was about the second or third drift, I caught a nice red side, about, I don't know, 15 inch or so. Not the biggest, but it was a decent fish. And now my float's working back to me and I need my other hand. So I'm gonna try to get one on camera here. Oh yeah, oh yeah. This is holding the rod and fighting the fish all at the same time. That's the second one there. Feisty little guy. So I made a fly change. Sorry for the crappy filming right here going on, but I was completely not prepared to get this fish. I was making setting changes on my GoPro, and then all of a sudden this fish decided to eat it. Let's see if he ate the fly I switched to. Let's try to get this camera down. Alright, just gonna land this fish here finally. Another nice red band. Get my glove off. Oh, another dandy, another dandy. Alright, let's come down here. With the hand. Another great looking fish. And away he goes. So he did bite on the fly that I changed to. It took off that big kind of pink San Juan worm looking thing. And he decided to eat this kind of little Euro style fly. Right there. That's what he decided to eat. We'll keep working this eddy and see if we can't get a third one out of here, and then we'll go somewhere else. All right, just got a dandy on. I'm gonna try to get her on camera here. Hopefully my camera doesn't fall in the water. Alright, we got a nice fish here. Let's get this glove off. We got kind of wrapped up in the line. Alright, let's see what we got going, dude. Oh, freak out. Oh, I'm still hooked. Auto release. I think. Yeah, well, you didn't get to see him on camera, but oh well. A nice fish. It was probably the fish of the day, so that kind of sucks, but oh well. It's a little slow today, but I'm finding them. They're exactly where I thought they would be. It's going to be kind of in the slower, slack water, eddies and whatnot, and they're eating real small flies. So my thinking was correct, at least. Let's see if we can't get another one on camera here. Alrighty, get them off. Quick shot. Yeah. So here's what I'm getting action on. So that guy and this guy. This green one's been getting more action than this smaller one up top. All right, see if we can't get another nice one out of this spot before I move. It's been pretty productive. I think I've got five or six out of here. All right, got a fish on. Feels kind of heavy. I don't know what it is yet. Go here and get my glove off. Oh, nice. Oh, it's a whitefish. Nice whitefish. Oh, that's a beautiful, good old size. Wow. Wow. Twitch, 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 twitch. You can definitely tell it's a whitefish. Oh, he's got kind of tangled here. Don't twitch on me, dude. I'm trying to get you untangled. Alright, that's a whitefish, everyone. A whitefish is not a squawfish. You should turn whitefish back. They're good for the river system. The squawfish is a northern pike minnow. There's been confusions in some of the comments about fish species. You can definitely tell by the mouth and the head. A pike minnow has a pretty big head and a real large mouth. Kind of like a pike. They're not a pike, but they are distant relatives. And whitefish have just small, itty-bitty little mouths. Just, you know, they're barely, you know, the size of a size 16 fly or something. And the coloring's pretty different too. Northern pike minnow are usually pretty green, and they've got kind of a yellow belly. So awesome. Well, gonna keep going and see what else I can find out of this little hole. All right, got another one. I think it's a red band. All right, let's get this glove off. Yep, it is. And you got all twisted in the line again. Let's get the same fish. All right, let's get him over here and get him off. Oh, he decided to hook himself twice. Hooked himself in the mouth and then hooked himself in the tail. All right, dude, I'm gonna get you off, bro. All right, bam. Advantages of running barbless hooks. The fish are so easy to get off. And all you have to do is just be cognizant of keeping pressure on them, because if you put slack in the line, they can throw the hook. But just the ease of getting fish off barbless hooks makes it just about the only thing I'll use. I don't feel I really lose any fish any more often than with a barb hook, and it's just the ease of getting fish off is just, it's good for the fish. I mean, you are hooking them in the mouth, and so having to wiggle the barb out is just screwing up the fish that much more. But enough of that tangent. Been a very productive eddy here. Been pretty excited. Red bands and one really nice whitefish. I'm gonna keep doing a couple more drifts and see what we can come up with. I'm not catching them really close in on the eddy, you know, just about a rod length and a half out from where I'm standing as where I'm getting them. Here, I'll give you a quick shot. So just kind of like right into that soft water, about a rod length and a half out. So pretty close to the bank, real soft water, and that's where they're stacking up, and there must be a whole little pot of them down there. So gonna give it a few more goes. Well, I almost didn't get it. I almost didn't get last fish. I got one. Oh, and he auto-released. Perfect. I'm gonna have to get my hand cold. That is the last one for this hole. It's still productive. I'm just really freaking cold, and need to go sit up in the truck and warm up a little bit. Otherwise, I'd keep going. But I am cold. So there's snow on the ground. I think it's in the 30s. I mean, it's chilly out here. Well, we'll see you in the truck. I'm gonna go sit in the truck and hang out for a little bit. Might head down the road. I'm kind of fishing with a buddy today, John, and I'm gonna go see what he's up to, see if he's had any luck today or not. He had an epic day yesterday, so the fishing gods may not allow him to catch any fish today. We'll see. So, I'm gonna go get warmed up. Oh, what a beautiful February day. Snow in the hills. The canyon's just beautiful. Oh yeah. What a great day. Great day on the river. Well, good morning. Welcome back. It's going to be a kind of video recap like I like to do, kind of showing you what worked for me and what didn't work. First up, I'm going to show a couple flies that one I had zero success on, which was this guy. I didn't have a lot of hopes this time of year, but I wanted to give it a shot anyways. It was that guy. Kind of hard to get it to focus, but anyways. It's a little bit bigger fly, big bead on it. It's obviously red with a little, wiggly tail on it. Nothing touched that. I fished it for a little while out on point and never got a hookup on it, so I eventually took it off. Kind of the second fly that I had marginal success was something kind of similar. It was kind of like a rendition of a San Juan worm. I caught one red band trout on that one, so it wasn't a total dud, but it definitely wasn't very productive. But it was a pretty dark day, and I stick pretty close to that old adage of dark fly, dark day, bright fly, bright day. And it more often than not holds true. I always throw in a couple bright ones every now and then just to see, because it is fishing, and fish barely have a little pea brain. So, that doesn't always hold true, but it does for a lot of the time. So a couple other ones that I had success with, or it's actually still rigged. So let me kind of pull it over here. All right. So this guy had up on my top fly, kind of a copperish bead, a little bit of a hackle body, but I had success on it, but it was only whitefish, which was kind of odd. I never caught a red band on this one. And then the second fly that I did the day was this guy. I guess that's got more of a hackle on it than the other one. Pink bead, size 16, purple head, a little darker overall fly. Had success on this, caught a couple nice red bands on it. But the fly of the outing definitely was this guy. Let me get it with a pair of pliers so you can see it. It's pretty small and not a lot going on with it. So a tiny little bit of a tail on it. It's going to be really hard to see in the video. And then it's got a dark bead with a little bit of a black and green body. It's got a little bit of a flashiness to it in the green. But a very, very basic fly, Euro style fly. And that seemed to be the most productive. I probably caught 8 or 9 fish on that. I didn't film the whole time I was out. I was actually fishing with a couple buddies, and so I only had the camera on sometimes. Other times we were just kind of hanging out ourselves. So overall, I think I was in the 10 or 12 fish realm, which is pretty good for middle of February. I was pretty happy with it. I haven't been on the river for quite some time. And then let's talk setup. I get a lot of people coming in that have seen my little channel, which is awesome. It cracks me up every time someone comes in and says that, because it's such a minuscule channel. But anyways, it's awesome. I'm glad it happens. My setup is pretty basic, and I fish almost the same setup year round as far as float fishing. If I'm center pinning, I stay in the 6 gram realm for a float. I don't typically, this is for trout, speaking about trout, I don't typically go much heavier than a 6.
I try to go lighter sometimes, but when you start getting into like the 4-gram realm, it gets really hard to cast with the center pin. You can do it, but I just give up a little bit of range, which isn't, you know, that's another thing that leads me with people that make a common mistake. They always, more often than not, beginners always cast over the fish. They're always casting way out into the river, you know, trying to fish the other bank or something. And most often than not, the fish are within 2 to 3 rod lengths right off the bank of where you're fishing. So as long as you can cast, you know, a couple rod lengths, you can cast far enough to consistently catch fish, you know, because that gets into the Euro fishing realm, which I'm learning to do from a friend. And I love the similarities between the float stuff and the Euro stuff. It's just, so float fishing, center pinning is like, I see it as a long range nymphing tactic. There's water that's definitely more kind of pin water. You know, it doesn't do great in real fast stuff because of the float. That's what gives you the advantage and the disadvantage. So that top current is faster, so it's going to rip it down the river, right? And then mess up your presentation, because you want the presentation to be just a little bit slower than the current. And that top water is always faster. So like the float fishing isn't great for fast water. And the reason I'm learning to pin fish, let's get this line out of the way, is not pinfish rather, but to Euro fish is, let me get back on camera, get that line out of the way, is the Euro rod or Euro tactic is much more successful in the hot months. When, you know, July, August, I'll switch and I'm mainly Euro fishing, or I'm running a dry dropper on like a 5 weight. The pin fishing really slows down in the hot months, just because the fish aren't in that typical pin water. They're not in the slow tails, they're not in the eddies. Why? Because the water's warmer, you know, and the food may not be kicking around into that area as quick, you know, so the fish move up to really pretty fast water that you wouldn't think you'd be fishing in. And Euro style fishing, you're using such fine line and such fine leaders that you can really cut through that fast water and get your, you know, little flies, the little nothing flies like this, down to the bottom, you know, because that's where the fish are hanging out, is down on the bottom. So I'll switch. Like right now, I mainly pin fish, and then come when it gets warm, you know, June, July, August, I'll be topwater fishing with a fly rod, or I'll be Euro fishing, just because it's much more productive in those months than trying to force the pin method. Not saying I don't catch fish on the pin in the summer, but it's not near as productive as the other methods. So I'm not sold on any one method year round. I kind of bounce all around. And I think the more disciplines you learn, the better overall angler you become. If you just stick yourself in one discipline, then you're kind of limiting yourself. And there's so much overlap between the disciplines. It's kind of funny, because you always run into those kind of snobby guys, or guys that only do this, and it's just like, well, yeah, I mean, you can be productive at that, you know. And but anywho, enough of that tangent. It was a good day fishing. Just kind of here in my little garage the day after. Thought I would kind of be a little transparent. I try to be as transparent as possible. Actually gonna enable a new feature I'm gonna start having in my videos, is like a GPS, like little Google Earth map that's gonna pinpoint where I was at, because I think it's utterly comical when I see people on social media, they catch a fish and then they blurred the background out, or you watch some fishing videos and they're being really secretive about where they're fishing, and then it is such BS to me, because there is so much goes into like learning to read water, your timing, especially with like salmon and steelhead. That's almost more important than anything, is your timing and being there when the fish are there and they're active. And so when they're hiding it, it just kind of makes me smile, because it's just, you know, I don't know why they're doing it. Maybe they're trying to make it more interesting for their videos or whatever. Maybe they just, you know, are amateurs or something. I don't know. But so I'm going to show you exactly where I fish, because it doesn't make a difference. You're not going to come fish the hole out. You can come fish the exact same hole and not catch anything. Then I could come in behind you, or someone else will come in behind me, and they can catch a whole boatload. It's about finding where they're holding in that spot, you know. And so you could fish the same hole that I fish, but you're fishing it somewhere a little different, and you ain't gonna catch nothing. You got to find exactly where they're holding. You know, it's like when I was fishing at eddy. That one of my friends that I had fished with, I go, oh, I want to go up and hit this eddy. So we drive up, and you know, I go to the eddy, and he's like, oh, I don't like that. You know, I don't like that eddy. You know, I can't ever get it to fish right. The current always, you know, moves it around, and that's where the pennant has a huge advantage, just because you can use that current that can kind of control your drift and let it kind of work around. And I was like, oh, you know, I'm going to work it. And then he went up above and fished, and you know, I kind of fished one end of the hole because it was a big eddy. You know, caught a couple, and then I was like, well, I'm going to work down on that back side of the eddy where it kind of like eddies in, and then there's a little tail. Well, and that's where the pod was sitting, and that's where I nabbed like 8 or 9 fish in one spot on this eddy, which I'd almost left and didn't come down and fish the tail end of it. But I saw a good trail, and I was like, well, it's a good trail. Might as well go down and fish it. I wasn't feeling Davy Crockett and didn't want to come, you know, crashing down the banks because they were all covered in snow. You know, go down there and fish that, and had great success. You know, caught a whole slew of fish, and they were about about 1 rod, maybe a rod and a half off the bank. You know, so they were very close to the bank, and that's where I caught the majority of my fish for the day, was that one eddy. And then it got cold and had to go warm up. But that just shows you, you know, it doesn't matter if someone knows your fishing hole, you know. I mean, there are good fishermen that can find them, but most people on the Deschutes catch and release. So what if you know where I fish? You know, it's doesn't make no difference. But anywho's, that's going to be into the kind of little recap. I showed you what I used that worked. I showed you what I used that didn't work. And then you can look forward to seeing, I'm going to put a little GPS map on the video. And as long as it doesn't take too long, because it's a feature in the GoPro that, yeah, it might be really tedious to do, but we'll see. Well, if not, I'll have to buy some software that does it. That's much faster. But it'll be a cool feature that I think people will enjoy and really hopefully help people catch fish. That's my main goal, you know, is I hope people watch these videos, they learn a trick or learn a spot or whatever, and they're a little more successful at catching fish. So that's the whole goal of the video, is to help people out. Because I've fished Oregon streams for a good 20 or 30 years now. So I've learned a lot from trial and error, you know, fishing with friends. I do watch some YouTube videos, actually not near as much as I used to. It's mainly just I'm so spoiled living so close to the Deschutes that it's like, oh, I wonder if this will, you know, be productive, and I'll go down and I'll fish it a couple times. Like, well, nope, that didn't work, you know. And I'm gonna start playing with setup stuff on my pen, you know, as far as with the shot patterns, and seeing if I can manipulate the presentation, you know, because right now I run what they call a standard shot pattern, pretty much. There's a whole thing that goes into shot patterns, but so I kind of evenly space the shot down the line. And then I can adjust this, pull it tighter or pull it apart to adjust the depth. And you always, when you float fish, you always want to weight your float. So that means you always want a couple split shot at the base of the float, because it just helps that float stand up and perform how you want it to. You don't want to see your float like laying all weird. That means something's going on. You're hitting bottom, or the setup, you're way too light, or you know, something's going on. It's got to be riding vertical. So yeah, I'm going to play with doing some stuff where I have all the weight at the base. I don't do the shot pattern at all. Then I'm going to get into what they call some tapered shot pattern that's supposed to be better for quicker water, where the shot is closer together on this end, and then you spread them apart as you go up towards the float. So that means that gap is going to get bigger as you go up, and that gap's going to get smaller as you come down to the bottom end of your shot pattern. Just to play around and see if I can have it be more effective in fast water. I've got some floats that are fast water floats. They look very different compared to like these. These are a medium depth float. They And then they make a deep depth float too that look pretty much the same. They're just a little heftier. But I'll show you a shallow water float. I got them right over here. So this is a shallow water float. It's like that. It's probably much more of a typical shape people are used to for a float or bobber, whatever you want to call it. And then this is a fast shallow and the 5 gram counterweight. So it's one of the bigger ones. It's stuff that this is one that I'll use. I'm trying to pin when it's in the fast water. I'll use a float like this. And then I've also brought in these that I have not played with much yet. So they're a slow water float. So you can see how they're really tall and narrow, 4.8 gram. And that's because the more narrow they are in slower water, the more sensitive it's going to be to fish kind of messing around with whatever your bait or fly or whatever you're fishing. And so I don't do a ton of pond fishing or lake fishing. That's where you'd use a float like this. You can see how the shape is very different from the ones I use in the Deschutes. Might be hard to see, but so very different shape. And I have not got to play around too much with that because I don't do a ton of lake fishing or pond fishing. But one of these days, I will try these out and see if I can see much of a difference from just using a fast float like what I normally use. These are going to be much more sensitive, it's for sure. So, yeah, time will tell. But like always, you know, help us out, help me out, like and subscribe. I love seeing the channel inch along. You know, that's kind of the whole goal. And it's kind of fun to grow it. It's just a hobby for me. I'm not trying to make a living at it. It's just kind of fun just sharing what I've learned with people. And it's super fun having people come in and say, oh, I saw your videos, and you know, that's super fun to BS fishing with people. So that's why I do it. It's enjoyable. And until then, until next time, I'm going to try to get out a little more often here. 2025 has been kind of slow, kind of tough for me. The weather's been awful, and then I've been a lot of stuff going on at the store. So, like always, like and subscribe, and get on the river somewhere.